found that many of these MSDs were not being maintained properly or not functioning properly, and they violated the standards by 10,200 times the amount on average. It got as high as 140,000 times the amount. Now, from 3 nautical miles and beyond, they can discharge raw sewage if they want. That's as far as the law is concerned. So, let's see here. So, you know, there are a bunch of other substances: gray water, oily bilge water, hazardous waste. Gray water I'll touch on because I think that I believe there was a sheet circulated concerning where discharges were allowed and where they weren't, and it was a little bit inaccurate as far as gray water is concerned. So gray water is also governed by the Clean Water Act. From 0 to 1 nautical miles, they do have to treat their gray water, unless they don't have the holding capacity. And I will say most cruise ships have the holding capacity. From 1 to 3, they're allowed to discharge untreated gray water if they're traveling at 6 knots or more. And then from 3 and beyond, they can discharge untreated gray water. And gray water has been found in many cases to be as dirty and sometimes dirtier than sewage. So oily bilge water, 0 to 12, no discharge, or excuse me, 0 to 12, the discharge can't exceed a 15 part per million oil content, and it can't have a sheen. From 12 and beyond, it can't exceed 100 parts per million oil content, and so on. I don't know that you want me to go through every single one of these substances and the different laws, but let's see here. So that's the sort of overarching framework that governs South Carolina, Charleston, and most of the United States. There are some states that have taken their own action, and you can see from this map. California has banned the discharge of many substances in their state waters. Alaska and Hawaii and Maine have their own laws, and Washington State and Florida have a memoranda of understanding. And Dr. Klein and Joe will be touching more on various state actions that have been taken to deal with the problem of cruise ship pollution. So, given that existing framework that I talked about, which is sort of patchwork and not very stringent, and one might ask, well, is anything being done about it at the federal level to try to address this issue? So there is a bill, it's called the Clean Cruise Ship Act. It would ban the discharge of sewage, gray water, and oily bilge water out to 12 nautical miles, and from 12 to 200, it would increase the limits so that these ships would essentially be required to use advanced treatment systems. Incinerator ash, sewage, sludge, and hazardous waste would be banned out to 200. They'd have to discharge it onshore. There'd also be an onboard inspection program, monitoring and sampling requirement, and a pollution control fund. But, you know, what's important to note is that even though this bill is out there, obviously it takes a very long time to get a bill passed in Congress, and federal legislation, states and local courts have really been driving this effort to deal with the problem of cruise ship pollution. And I can't tell you what a difference it makes when localities, when cities, you know, when states take action. I mean, I could talk to you about the state of Alaska, which has had vast, wide-reaching impact on other states in the United States, and you know, on the federal bill. The standards that are in the federal bill came from Alaska. So I can't emphasize enough what a difference it makes when you all come here into these forums and talk about this issue and talk about what you want to do here to preserve a balance in the city of Charleston as far as cruise ships and cruise ship pollution is concerned. So, thank you for having me, and questions will be later.